Hi kittens, it's Sister Angel Kiss with the Abbey of the Festival City Sisters in Edmonton, and this is my first tutorial to help out some of the newer sisters in Edmonton, and maybe you're not in Edmonton and you want to have a little bit of a tutorial on how to do some makeup. If it's your first time, or even if it's your 10th time and you're just looking for some different pointers and tips, I'm going to show you the way I do it, and some of the stuff that I show you, you might think, no, I'm not really interested. Some of the stuff you might look at and go, yeah, okay, that sounds really cool. Some of the stuff you might see and think, I never really thought about doing that way, and maybe it might help you. And if it does, that is fabulous. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, just show you some of the tools that I use. This is just product that I believe works really, really well for me. It's stuff that's not super duper expensive, so you don't have to worry about having a small budget or anything like that. This stuff is totally affordable, and you can pick it up at like any different cosmetic store. And show you some of the other tools that I use, some brushes and just some homemade stuff that I use to get the job done, and how to remove the makeup, and then we're gonna play with some makeup. So one of the first things that we use is, as sisters, obviously we're going to use some Clown White makeup. Now this is just your Kryolan brand. It is an absolute staple. It is fabulous makeup. It goes on really well. It's oil-based, so once it's on your skin, even if you're sweating a little bit, if you just kind of dab it away instead of scratching or anything like that, the makeup will stay and it doesn't come off. So it's really, really great. Another thing really inexpensive that we use for the coloring, this is what I use, and I just picked this up at the Michaels store. Just a regular craft store. It's just some basic watercolor crayons. I think it was like $16. And you've got 12 different colors, and the colors obviously like red, yellow, green, blue, black, white. They got all sorts of different colors in here. Totally worth it. Super duper easy to use. All you have to do, just dip the crayon in water, rub it a little bit on your hands, and it just goes right on like a paintbrush. Really fabulous. After you're done putting on your makeup, we're going to use a white setting powder. Now this is a little bit more of a costly product that I use, but it is so worth it. It's from Makeup Forever, and you can get this at Sephora, and this is just an HD micro finish powder. So worth it. So if you can afford the extra money on the powder, I definitely say do it. Girl, you want the good stuff. And obviously we're going to use a white sponge to put on the makeup, and if you're familiar with traditional drag makeup, obviously you're going to use this and you're just going to press it in as hard as you can. You definitely want to set the Clown White makeup before obviously you put on the colors, and go hog wild on the decorations. For the brow block, obviously we're going to do a brow block, and I'm going to do a separate tutorial on the brow block, a little bit more in depth. For this particular tutorial, I'm just going to block my brows and that's going to be it. But we're going to use, and this is just Ben Nye brand. It's a spirit gum, and then I've got the spirit gum remover. Some of the other stuff we're going to use, obviously, I've got some different shadows here. Now the shadows can be any brand. They can be MAC, they can be Marcel, Maybelline, even Avon. Avon has some fabulous makeup, and it is really well pigmented, so I wouldn't worry too much on spending tons and tons of money. I would just get makeup that suits your purpose. There are some sisters I've seen that will go to like Claire's, and they'll buy those big humongous palettes with 80,000 colors, and those are totally cool. You can get like 15 or 50 colors or 100 or however many colors there are for like $12. So if that works for you, then great. Some of the other things we're going to use, obviously, we're going to use a little triangular sponge for the Clown White. I've got another big brush here. This is, I believe, just a blush brush. It's from Makeup Forever, so it's a little bit more of an expensive brush, and that I'm going to use for my white powder just to put it on. I've got a makeup spatula, which we're going to use for our brow block. I've got some false lashes here, very dramatic. They are also Makeup Forever. And I've got some Duo, some eyelash adhesive, which is going to help not only for eyelashes, but it's also going to help if you wanted to put, like if you wanted to put sequins on your face, or if you had glitter and you wanted to specifically develop a pattern with the glitter, you could take the eyelash adhesive and go and draw a little pattern on, and then you just take your glitter with a little brush and you can just dust it on, and it'll totally stick, and it looks fabulous. One of the other things that we're going to use is an eyebrow pencil, or sorry, this is an eyeliner pencil. So we're going to do some eyeliner, and I've got a whole bunch of different brushes here. Some of them are super duper cheap, like this one we got at Michaels, and I think the whole entire set was like $20, and there's like 18 brushes. This is really good if you're not really steady with the crayons and you don't want to draw the crayons like directly on your skin. You can always go with the crayons and just put a little bit of color into your hand and then just dab the brush in and paint with a brush. If you're more familiar with brushes, then that's a really good way to go. I've got some other brushes here that are a little bit more expensive. Like this is a $38 blending brush from Sephora. So you can get the expensive brushes that are made for makeup, and if you're using the dry makeup to put onto your face, do I recommend going all out and spending a ton of money on expensive brushes? Absolutely. If you want to achieve a really good look, then you want to have the right tools to do the job, and having good brushes is where it starts. But if you have to use the cheap stuff, that's okay too. You'll just have to work a little bit harder, and the pigment doesn't necessarily hold onto the brushes well. And then once you have the makeup on your face, if you're looking to drag the makeup to make kind of like a gradient on your face, you're going to find that the brushes will not drag the pigment as far, or it will kind of leave marks on your face because the brushes might be, the bristles might be a little bit stiffer than the makeup brushes. If you've ever felt a makeup brush, you'll notice that they're very soft, and when they're on your skin, they're very, very smooth, and it's made so that way it drags the makeup nicely. So if you can afford the better brushes, I definitely recommend getting the better brushes. This is something homemade that I use for my cheekbones, either for drag or for sister makeup, doesn't really matter. This is just one of those little cardboard little shapes that come in with a pair of pantyhose, and you pull it out, and I just cut it a little groove into it. Now this groove is specifically for my face, and all I do is if I'm looking to do like a set of cheekbones, then I just go and I notch it in here, wherever it is that I want the cheekbones. So if I want higher cheekbones, I can always go like this. If I want them to be more like this shape, I can do it that way. Whatever shape it is that you want on your face, you can cut different shapes. I mean, for crying out loud, if you're into drag and you're going through lots of pantyhose, I go through a pair every time I go out and drag. So I've got a lot of these kicking around. If you want lots, just send me your address, I'll mail you some. So you just cut out whatever groove that you want in there, and you put it on your face, and then you just take your brush for whatever shape you want, and you just dab it on, and you're good to go. It's super duper quick. Another thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about brow blocks is I've got some eyebrow putty. This stuff is kind of just like Play-Doh or plasticine. It's just for helping with the brow block, and I'll talk about it in more detail in the brow block video. When we're done today and we're taking everything off, I've got some cleanser and some makeup wipes. That's basically all you're going to need to take the stuff off. This is a La Roche-Posay dermal cleanser. It's just basically like a facial cleanser with the makeup remover actually in the cleanser. So you're just basically going to rub it on your hands and rub it all over your face, let it sit for like 30 seconds, and then all your makeup's going to come right off with a makeup wipe. You probably don't believe me now, but when we're taking this stuff off, it's going to come right off. Trust me. Before we start, obviously you want to have a nice clean face, nicely shaven. I'm not going to shave my goatee because it's part of my sister look, but I do have a lot of stubble here. I'm looking in the mirror. I've got a lot of stubble on my cheeks and on my upper lip and on my neck. So the bottom of the neck isn't such a big deal, but since I'm doing the top, I may as well do the bottom. So I'm going to go and clean up a little bit. And okay, so I'm back. I went and cleaned up my face. I'm, for all intents and purposes, I guess I'm clean shaven now and ready for the makeup. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm not going to go into great detail with the brow block. I'm just going to do it and then come back when the brows are done and we'll get into some of the makeup. So as you can see, both my brows are now blocked and we're ready to put on our white face. Now, with the Kryolan Clown White, what you're going to find if you just go with your makeup sponge right away is you can dip it into the Clown White, and you're going to find that when you try to put it on, it doesn't necessarily go on the best way. So there's a bit of a secret I'll let you guys in on, and this is the secret right here. Blow dryer. Just take the blow dryer and you blow a little bit on your makeup, and that loosens it right up, and then it goes right in super duper easy, and then you'll find that this makeup just goes on so much easier. So what I find when putting on the Clown White is that it goes on better if I dab it. Okay, so I like to start with the brows when it's really, really thick, because then that way I know that it will fit into all the grooves, and that way we're not going to have any sort of lines with any of the eyebrow texture that might be left. It should have all been smooth, but sometimes you miss a spot. I don't know if you can see, there's a couple little spots there. But we just keep on patting and eventually it'll get covered. After I do the brows, then what I like to do is I like to draw my outline, because if I have an outline, it kind of helps with putting on the clown white if you can kind of stay inside the lines. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I find that after you've got your face completely covered in the clown white, sometimes you might find little sponge marks that are on there. So after the makeup's already on, you can just kind of go over it. Some of the places that you put makeup on, you might find that you put the clown white on a little bit more generously than other places. Usually on the brows, that's where more of the makeup accumulates. So you can take from there and just go and kind of smooth it around and blend it all in. A lot of sponge marks you see on the nose. Also, once you powder it, it's going to be really minimal. I recommend that until you powder, do not raise your eyebrows, because what you do is you leave little crease marks in there. So it's really important that you try to keep a straight face. Yeah, straight face. Just try not to flex your brows a whole lot. And another thing I recommend is try, if at all possible, try not to get any makeup on your eyelashes, because that's going to make life a little bit more difficult for you once you are putting on your lashes. So I find that if you are really conscious of where the edge of the brush is, you can really just kind of get in there gently and paint your face up without touching any of your eyelashes. On the bottom, sometimes you will get makeup on the bottom. Bottom is not so important, because you're going to be putting the lashes on the top. So here I am flexing my forehead like I said not to. Just did it again. Bad, Sister Angel, bad. Do you have to worry so much about putting makeup on the inside of your nostrils? Probably not. But I always just put on the edge of my nose. And that's about it. So we've got our face now completely white. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to put my little makeup away here. Now we are going to put on our base. Now, like I said, the powder that I use is a little bit more expensive, so you might not want to go with something that is expensive as I'm using. You could use baby powder. That works just fine. Now, what I do, just to start, and you're going to see here pretty soon what this does to my face, is I'm just going to dip my brush into the powder, and then I'm just going to plop it on my brow, because I really want the eyebrows to be absolutely perfect, and then you're going to see a lot of fallout. And actually, while I'm doing that, I'm just going to shut off my fan, because this powder is very loose. Actually, I'll show you here. I've just dipped in a bit, and it just poofs away. So I just put a little bit of powder here on my brow, or on my brush. Go. So now I'm going to take my sponge, and I'm just going to make sure that it's really in there nice. Seems to be in there pretty well. I missed a spot I can feel.